Yeah.
stalling, and yeah, I do like the longer time on the mat for Newaza.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Newaza is a weapon. Newaza is a
It
weapon.
is.
That's another thing that we really focused on. We've been focusing on that because even if you don't have to be a Newaza specialist, but if somebody respects your Newaza, it changes how they fight. It changes. If
Mhm.
you're really worried about somebody having, attacking me, that's one thing. Hey, finish your Newaza is one of the things that
We've always been a Newaza heavy team.
Oh, I know Jason because two of your guys, including one of them's on this podcast, tapped me in a tournament. So
I don't.
Did you
that
fight
was a
Byron
long
before?
time ago.
Did you fight Byron?
I did at the Rainier Cup.
I remember that.
Actually, I think it was in the same day. Who's the other gentleman? Is it Kobe?
Kobe
Yep.
Parmenter?
Yeah, I think him and Byron got me with the same. I think they both got me with a clock choke.
You don't want to know the funny thing? Okay, all right, Joe. This is the funny thing about this. So, my dad was heavy with Newaza, and so we've always been. I personally have always been super heavy. I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was like right before UFC 1. We had a lot of guys that were here, like I was telling you, like Matt Larson. They were here at Fort Lewis in the Ranger Battalion, before anybody really knew what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was, like in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to fight with those guys on Fort Lewis in BDUs all the time, and we would grapple. And I didn't even know what I was doing. They said the only thing you're going to try to do is like armbar them or choke them and make them tap, and that was the only thing I had to do. And we were like out on the dirt or on wrestling mats or whatever, and I was like, okay. And they just said, okay, put this on. I put like the top on, the BDU tops and the bottoms, and they said, all right, and button it all the way to the top, and then you're gonna fight all these guys. Like everybody's gonna fight everybody, and I just want you to get them until they tap. You can do whatever you want. And I did that for a while, and so and that was kind of like my first introduction to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the time, and I didn't even know what it was. And it was it was like 1990, 1991. And so then I would always try to practice stuff on people. I'd practice on Travis when he was a little kid, and and I'd practice on the little kids just to sharpen up my technique, And we had a guy in our judo club named Tony Alexander. He's a 4-stripe black belt in the Carlson Gracie team with Marcelo Alonso here. And I used to just go, we'd go tooth and nail all the time. I'd always want to beat him. I was like, he wasn't even in jiu-jitsu yet. And we were just, I was always trying to get him, and we were just battling each other. And we didn't even know what we were doing at the time. This is, very early on in BJJ and in Washington. So it was always something that I felt like, okay, this is an advantage to what we do. If we're doing judo and we get into the Newaza situation, we have so many people who are good at wrestling that they're either going to pin you and stick you, or we're going to armbar or choke you, in that order. We're never gonna try to do a choke or an armbar over a pin. It's going to progress from pin to, choke and armbar, never giving up position. And that was kind of my mentality going into it. Even when Travis was little, I was always trying to get those guys to do more Newaza. And in fact, the first time I ever got a cauliflower ear, we were Travis and those guys, the kids were messing around, and Travis kneed me right in the head. It's like right here. And that was the first time I ever got a cauliflower ear. Travis was probably like 8 years old, and they were screwing around, and he kneed me right in the head as hard as he could, and I think I punched him right in the face. And he was probably like 8 years old, and I was so mad, and my ear blew up, and then I got it drained or whatever. And then, but that was like the first time my ear ever got messed up.